Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, September 26, 2023. It is 2:04 p.m. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Benster. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell and Assistant County Manager Rob Gelder, as well as Clerk of the Board Jamie Caldwell. We'll start our meeting today with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Edwards.
And I would like to just take this opportunity to point out that the only reason we're here and are able to have this meeting and we're speaking the English language is because of the American veterans that put their lives on the line. And I'm going to ask Mr. Ballard to lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, Vice Chair Manser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement?
Madam Chair. We would also like to start today's meeting with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you, sir. So next, we do have a presentation today, and it's the SoulSmart Silver designation.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Rebecca Harvey. I'm the Climate Mitigation Senior Program Manager. And I'm happy this afternoon to present this plaque to you all in recognition of Thurston County's designation as a SoulSmart Silver community. SoulSmart is a national program funded by the U.S. Department of Energy that recognizes cities and counties for taking steps to encourage the growth of clean and affordable solar energy at the local level. To earn this designation, Thurston County worked with SoulSmart's no-cost technical assistance team and adopted nationally recognized best practices across the categories of permitting and inspection, planning and zoning, government operations, community engagement, and market development. Silver designation requires meeting a few prerequisites and achieving a total of 100 points. Thurston County went above and beyond by achieving 190 total points, which puts us close to the gold level. There's just one more prerequisite we will need to achieve and hope to do so in the future to up our designation to gold in the future. So I'll share just a few highlights of some of the actions that the county has taken to achieve this designation. First of all, the county makes it easier to go solar by not requiring a county permit for residential rooftop solar systems. The county also offers long-term financing for solar energy and other green building improvements through the CPACER, or Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy and Resiliency Program. And currently, the county is working with the State Department of Commerce to assess its own facilities for future solar and battery storage systems. Solar energy is an important strategy of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan to help reduce local greenhouse gas emissions, while helping our residents and businesses save money on their utility bills. So by earning this designation, we have taken an important step towards implementing our climate mitigation plan. And finally, I just want to thank all the staff that worked with me on this designation, particularly the CPED department with Director Josh Cummings and several of his staff, some of whom are here, maybe not. Thought they'd come for the photo op, but thank you, CPED. Thank you, everyone who's helped out with this. And at that, I present this plaque to the board, and I will work with staff on finding a suitable location to permanently display this in the building.
Commissioners, any comments, or are we ready for a picture?
Well, if just staff is here, are we going to take a picture? I mean, I don't care. Just Usually we get a bunch of folks lined up here, but
Brett's here.
Brett's here. No.
Let's go.
Oh, we're gonna take a picture. Okay.
I didn't wear heels for nothing today.
So while we gather for the picture, I can just say a big thank you to Rebecca for gathering all the information and getting the application in to get this designation for Thurston County. It's a milestone marker.
3, 2, 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. That will conclude our presentation for today.
Commissioner Mejia, before we go any farther, should we note changes to the agenda?
Yes, we actually have not approved the agenda yet. Thank you so much. So there were a couple of changes to the agenda from this morning's agenda setting. And Robin, will you go over them, please?
Yes, the items that have changed since this morning is item 3B was removed from the consent agenda, and that item was regarding the county manager's leave bank upon separation. Item 5B was moved to the consent agenda. It is now item 3F. And I think that
Emergency Services execute lease space agreement with West Thurston Regional Fire Authority.
Yep,
Purpose of a paramedic unit station.
thank you. And then items 3G through, is that an L? Quite a few items were added that appoint members to our advisory committees in the county. Those are our changes.
Thank you. And then,
Are we going to be able to proceed with item 6B?
the updated, it says the updated.
So we'll just discuss that at the time. Okay.
Yes, item 6B, we have information from Shaylin that she will share with the board, where you are able to make the changes as requested.
Okay, then I will move to approve the agenda for Tuesday, September 26, 2023, as amended and described by the interim county manager.
Second?
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, next is an opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those members in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW, and no remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal. Thank you for your cooperation. I will call members of the public who have signed up on the sheet. If you didn't get a chance to sign up, then after we get through the sheet, I will ask if anyone else would like to provide public testimony, and then we will move on to Zoom. And the Assistant County Manager will help me call out anyone who is here from the public. that is joining us via Zoom that would like to provide public testimony. So with that, the first person is John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live out off of Rich Road Southeast, Schutz River Ranch. I'm going to talk about a few different things, but I will start out by mentioning that I changed my intention of having a talk today because the director from CPED came down and visited me about some particular land issues about getting permits issued to a variety of clients that I work with. Based upon that and the assurance that he hopefully will be resolving these issues on a quick basis, we can take things out of what we call a backlog state and put them into actually issuing some permits. I do have a couple of my other clients that happen to be here, and they may make statements regarding the process, because the only way you're going to learn about what's going on is from the people that are trying to buy the service. So one of the things which I wanted to address is yesterday you had a meeting and a presentation, and I don't think there was some clarity that was provided. I realize you'd like to cut staff, but if you were to look at your slide number 9 that you had yesterday, which shows a backlog for 21, a backlog for 22, and a backlog currently, you're gonna have to analyze it a little bit. It's part of what I do. And that's a cumulative backlog that keeps adding up. So total backlog amounts to 4,510 in the backlog category of people who applied for permits and haven't received them. Okay, that's a lot. That's more than a single year's worth. I think you need to confirm that with the people that created this study, but there was concern, well, maybe we need 12 more employees to keep ourselves out of backlog status. Well, actually you need about 32 employees if you wanted to wipe out all the backlog over a period of a year. You don't have the money to do that. One of the issues that I want to bring up, though, is also as we sometimes fight through the process, and we're all aware that in 2025, that there's a 90-day window for application made to permit being issued in the process. But I don't think people necessarily know, because especially when you have backlogs from 21 and 22, the current time frame as provided by the Growth Management Act is 120 days. Well, I don't care how you look at it. Anything that was backlogged back in the 21 or 22 is well beyond 120 days. And the implications of not meeting the requirements of getting permits issued on a timely basis could lead to a lot of possibilities. I would prefer to hope that the county doesn't need to get into some class action or some other legal process in order just to force approval of the permits that have been neglected or not handled. The only other issue I'm going to bring up very quickly, it's a totally different topic. In my review, as you were looking at some budget items, in my review of the budget, it became clear that according to your budget books, that the park impact fees are being used for maintenance and operations. That's in direct conflict with county code and state law. So I've requested some documentation to verify whose money was used for maintenance and operations. If we're not using it right, it all needs to be refunded. Last quick close is that I would just say,
Sir, it's 4
we need to
minutes.
give back money for permits that haven't been issued if they've been over a year.
Next is Cooper Nygren.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Cooper Nygren. I live up on Tumwater Hill, 521 6th Ave. I just wanted to talk, got invited by John down here today. I purchased a piece of property about 1.5 years ago and haven't even had the opportunity to apply for a permit. Been trying to only get my site approval for a little over 1 year now. And when I first went in, they told me, oh, it'll be, 3 months till you get your site approval. I thought that was a long time, but figured I'd go on with it. And next thing I know, I'm over a full year out with no progress, no site approval. It's holding me back. I can't drill well, power, apply for permits. Permit fees, I'm in it a lot of money, and I try to contact people, can't get a response. Everyone's trying to make me double do on things, and it's really frustrating. I have the piece of property, 70 acres. I want to build one house and a shop on it, and it's one thing after another with the frogs, gophers, wetlands, oak trees, everything. It's just nonstop battle. Feel like I can't gain any ground, and I mean, at this rate, I just need to know if I'm even going to be able to build out there, if they'll ever let me. And just wanted to bring to your guys' attention kind of what I'm going through. And I'm a contractor in Thurston County, and I know a lot of other contractors that are going through the same thing. And it's hard for contractors to make a living when they're getting set back years and years. And this is going to be my personal residence for myself and my family, but it's just frustrating not being able to move forward with it, and promises being broken, and didn't know if there's anything we could do about it, if there's anything. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is John Jackson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Jackson. I live in Tenino, Washington. I think I was here last week and spoke a little bit about the issues that I have concerning some zoning right down in the Grand Mount suburbia area. And I just wanted to kind of give you a timeline of kind of what I've been dealing with and what's been going on down in that area. So in 2017, the lady that I was dealing with the county for this zoning was Allison. And so I went through all the public meetings that they had down in Grand's Mound and everything, and there was nobody that was against the rezoning of RRI. She said that, the process was going through the docket and there were certain things that had to be done, and all those were being done. And then I didn't hear from her for like 6-7 months. So I called in and found out that Allison was no longer working with the county, so I was passed on to a Shannon Shula. So I finally got a hold of Shannon Shula, and this was like probably 2019, 2020 when the COVID hit. And she informed me that my project was put on hold. And I was like shocked to find out it was put on hold. I asked her why. She said, well, one of the applicants, or one of the people that was on the application that I applied for, Ryan Deskins, decided he wanted to go with the UGA. His property is about 150 acres on the other side of the Highway 99 down there, right? So she said, in order for me to get the project back on, I had to write a letter saying that I wanted to keep my zoning the same as it was originally on the application, which was RRI. I was a little upset that I wasn't notified because I was the actual applicant that filled out the application and paid the money, but I was never notified that I was put on hold until like 9 months later. So once I did that, Shannon told me that, yeah, I was good to go. I would be on the docket. And then now she's not part of the county anymore, a part of the process. So I got passed on to Caitlin. And so the last thing I was told was that everything was looking good and I was going to be on the docket for this fall. So then I found out just a little while ago that, nope, they kicked me back off the docket again, and now I'm pushed back to next year, right? So I'm just trying to get some support from the commissioners here to be able to get this project done. I was able to finally get a building permit for the 80 by 180 building that we're putting up down there. And, but my problem is if I get the building up and the zoning doesn't change, then my employees that are directly across the street in an industrial complex that I'm renting, we won't be able to move into that building and do any work there. So I'll have to probably sell it as a farm with a big building on it, right? So I'm just asking support from Ty and Carolina and Gary. I think I got Gary's support on this. And if there's anything that I can do to make this process a little bit more clear for you. I know you guys are talking about green buildings and everything. Well, I don't think this building can be any greener because it's a recycled building from the city of Lacey, right? I found out that they were putting up they got a grant for a museum. They were gonna tear this building down and scrap it. I came in, took it down at my expense, had it re-engineered, and now have a permit to put it up. And I would like to get some assistance or something from the county managers as well to look into this a little bit and see, how I've been kind of dropped in the cracks here and there, right? So all I'm trying to do is to bring jobs to the county for economic growth. And I think where I'm at, if you look where I'm at, I'm next to a marijuana factory, next to a motocross track that's defunct, across the street from a derelict gravel pit. And the road that I'm on, Jer Street, now is just up and down with semi trucks. That they have a trucking school down the road now, and all the trucks that come in for modern equipment.
Thank you.
So if I can get your support, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, could
Go ahead.
I respond to that? Couple of things. You're not off the docket. And I don't know what happened at the front end of your process, but here at the back end, I've been involved in the projects that got bumped into next year were because of the requirements around expansion of a UGA are really stringent. And we were hoping to find, like, there's certain data that has to support the expansion, and that data isn't gonna be available to, like, we think it's coming potentially, but it's not gonna be available to us in time to get this done this year, and that these can only be done once per year. So I think the board has tried to move as fast as we can on all the Grand Mountain projects, but yours fell into that second category of ones that were asking for an expansion of the UGA. And because of that, we couldn't make the UGM subcommittee, which has to make a recommendation to us, didn't have the data because there's industrial land study coming, there's some housing data coming, and there's another piece of analysis that the UGM subcommittee asked for. And that's kind of what's going on. I wouldn't take what's going on as an expression of support or non-support. It's the commissioners trying to work through the legal requirements to do a UGA expansion, which are hard to do. We've never had one in the time I've been on the board. There's like 4 proposals for them in Grand Mountain, and we're trying to see which ones we can get to the finish line.
So are you saying I'm being pushed into the UGA zoning? Is that what you're thinking? Because I was told by the county that if I stayed RRI, right, that I would get my zoning.
Yeah, there's
changed
either,
easier.
there's either, we call them the external request. It's either an expansion of the UGA or a rezone outside of the UGA. And those require additional, like, environmental analysis. They weren't gonna be able to, even going at with complete support and the fastest possible timeline, we weren't gonna get them done this year, which meant they had to go into the group that's gonna be up for next year. So I apologize about that, but I just wanted to make sure you were clear about what's going on.
Yeah.
No less frustrating, but it was just as an understanding, like, it wasn't kicked off the docket or anything like that. And in fact, the board has pushed as far as we can to move the projects forward to conclusion. So anyway.
Mr. Jackson, if you'll write your number and your email, and if commissioners want to set up a meeting with you and talk with you.
I can follow up with you if you have any other questions. I was the county's designee to that subcommittee, UGM subcommittee, so I just have some detail on that.
Yeah, well, it's gonna take me a year to get the building up, right, now that I got the permit. So as long as the process is going forward and I'm, notified as to what's going on.
Yeah,
I'd
sorry
appreciate
about that. You have had 3 people, you have had 3 staff assignments that folks have left the county, so I
Yeah.
know that's super frustrating.
And that, they were telling COVID and everything too, so I just wanted to just keep you guys in your frame of mind that I'm still here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Vicky Lee.
Thank you. I am Vicki Lee, live at 5108 71st Way Northeast Olympia, that's Johnson Point area. Our Constitution protects the people and restricts the government. That has drawn immigrants such as my grandfather and my Cuban daughter-in-law who escaped from tyranny. The government is to serve the people. I want to talk, I've spoken before about the notice requirement that is being made for building permits. And I noted before it is in deed form. Also, we discovered it does not protect previous uses and it indicates it's voluntary when it's not. Eminent domain applies and compensation is required. I have offered verbiage to correct the errors in this notice. But how do we fix the previously filed documents? I would like to suggest that you declare them all void. They serve no function. Do you have any comments or questions? And I know you don't like to ask them, however, I think you should in order to get more information from the public.
I appreciate you coming in, and there will be more questions, but just not right now. That's,
I've asked questions of our CPED director on your issue and some discussion, so.
Okay, let's do it. Let's fix this system. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Terry Ballard. I'm a 35-year veteran. I retired in 2012 with 29 years of active duty, and I currently reside in Tanglewild, unincorporated Thurston County. I'm concerned. I'm really concerned because you have a county manager leaving and you haven't allowed all accounts legally chargeable against the county, not otherwise provided for, and an audit of all the accounts of all officers having the care, management, collection, disbursement of any money belonging to the county or appropriated to its benefit. He's leaving. He's leaving. Where's the audits? Okay. You came in here last time, last Tuesday, and you did, and you carried over, instead of closing an audit, you carried over a 501c3 that still had money that had closed. You have to end the account, do your accounting, and then open up a new one. You just don't carry things over. Where's all the accounts that he was in charge of? Okay. They don't exist. Let me tell you that. Okay. And that's in your powers of legislation, 36.32.120. I guess you don't know those either. Now, the Department of Ecology, Lake Management Districts. I hate to hear that $150,000 was ever allocated for Capitol Lake. We don't own Capitol Lake. Unincorporated doesn't own Capitol Lake. You don't own stormwater. You can't gift stormwater. Okay, stormwater is owned by the Department of Ecology. You can't gift it. Why are you gifting it? And why are you trying to apply it to stormwater and not to the rest of the lake management districts, which are in unincorporated Thurston County? Also, they wanted to give $250 million to Capitol Lake. And you got a guy over there who's our treasurer, Mr. Gadman, who's representing this on that board. Why is he representing your county? Why is he representing for you? Are you giving him representation for this? Okay. And it was taken off the 24-25 budget by Mrs. Campbell over here. Okay. But we know things get taken off and put back on without your authority. Okay. And we have no clue if it went back on. Deputies. I'm worried about my safety. I got a jail that is being paid out of the O&M funds for their salaries. This is wrong. You can't use O&M funds to pay salary out of the jail, which is the general fund. Also, we're number 38 out of 39 counties in this state that we don't have enough deputies per capita, okay? And their salaries, we should be the best. Thurston County is the capital county. We should be the best. We shouldn't be 38 out of 39. We should be number 1, okay? Grants from state need to take care of these lakes. Grants from state need to take care of a lot of stuff, okay? And again, Capitol Lake is not ours, okay? And I hate anything taken out of the unincorporated fund used in the general fund for other purposes that all these unincorporated cities should be paying for. It diminishes our road fund, it diminishes every fund that we need to survive with, to include the road patrol, okay? Because the road patrol is ours. It's unincorporated. It's ours, period. All the policing have theirs. All
Thank
the
you.
municipalities have their police departments.
Okay. Next is Bob Lee.
Check now.
I'm gonna hold comments till next week.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the boardroom that would like to provide public testimony? Go ahead.
Can I give you this?
I'm Esther Cronenberg from Cooper Point Road. I'm speaking as a representative for the Clean Black Lake Alliance to oppose a proposal to allow Long Lake and Lake Lawrence to take over responsibility for management of their lakes. In 2020, when the Black Lake District asked for a bond, Commissioner Menser and the county staff agreed it was a short-term solution to the longer-term problem of water quality. Now, 3 years later, instead of making progress to a long-term strategy, the county seems to be digging deeper into harmful short-term so-called fixes to worsening water quality issues. The purity of the surface and groundwaters are the responsibility of local jurisdictions and the Department of Ecology under the provisions of the Federal Clean Water Act. Thurston County's lakes are in hydraulic continuity with our sole source aquifer established by WAC 173591, which I handed you. Commissioner Edwards knows that the fluoridone that was put into Long Lake appeared within 10 hours at Woodland Springs. We know all the things are connected, so whatever you put into the lakes is going to go into our drinking water. The idea of further fragmenting control of the county's sole source, drinking water, and giving it to people whose primary interest is removing vegetation from in front of their property is totally unacceptable. Nobody voted for Herrera Consultants or any other profit-driven private company to manage the drinking water of our families and children. How can the county justify putting such critical decisions that affect all 300,000 residents in the hands of a few property owners? I don't believe you have the legal authority to even do that. Who is monitoring the cumulative impacts of poisons that are being applied to all the lakes in the county, and the poisons that are leaching from all the toxic sites that haven't been cleaned up, like at Green Cove and the Port of Olympia, and that are entering the aquifer from all the stormwater runoff from all the new development? There seems to be no county-wide management strategy to monitor what's actually going into the aquifer. From public records, I learned that your own staff in 2019 floated the idea of a one water policy to coordinate managing water resources that would be under the direction of CPED and headed by people who are knowledgeable in water resource management. Former County Lakes employee Janine Seville, who stated that the herbicides, that alternatives to herbicides like mechanical harvesting had never been properly considered in terms of cost effectiveness. Clean Black Lake Alliance, and when you poison weeds, what happens is, besides putting poison in the water, the weeds sink to the bottom and they rot and they provide more nutrients, and then that just fuels more harmful algae blooms. So it's like we said, 3 years ago when Black Lake was approved to put the alum treatment. It's short-term fixes, and the current policy of just letting more herbicides be used in the county lakes just allows more poison into our drinking water and fuels more harmful algae blooms. Clean Black Lake Alliance and many other citizens and environmental groups have asked the commissioners to set up a county-wide lakes management district to coordinate water policy. It's 3 years since a promise was made that the county would finally work on a comprehensive plan to protect our drinking water. This current proposal is a step backward that endangers it. We ask that before you make decisions that affect everyone, you put the public good first and consult with knowledgeable residents and environmental groups and urge the Department of Ecology to fulfill your joint obligation to protect our sole source aquifer. As always, Clean Black Lake Alliance is ready to assist in whatever way we can. We hope to have meetings with you soon for that regard. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I say something? Esther, there's tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock right here, there's a presentation by the League of Women Voters. Okay, I just wanted to know.
Anyone else in the boardroom?
Thank you for the time, Commissioners. I wanted to come in and thanks Gary Edwards for being part of this process of my.
I'm so sorry, sir. Could you please state your name and address
Oh,
for the record?
my name is Tom Bond. My address is 2745 Equus Ridge Lane, Tenino, Washington, 98589.
Thank you.
So this is in regards to a piece of property that I bought 22 years ago from an old gravel mine that was built out. I wanted to thank Gary for being involved in it for the last 20 years and coming up with the original approval. I just heard from Brett this morning to meet up with the commissioners and discuss how we can alleviate the 8 lots that were approved prior. And hopefully we can make that happen within the next reasonable amount of time. I've been working with the county, I should say, for the last approximately 21 years to reapprove an 8-lot approval that was done 20 years ago. And we're hoping that they can make this right. I'm at a point where we should build it out. We need the tax base to cover a lot of our projects that we have, so this would probably help out quite a bit. So I would appreciate if we could set up a time that we could get together with the planning board and hopefully the commissioners. And Ty, I appreciate you meeting with us a couple times over the last 3 years. So thank you very much. And the old address, if you need to look it up, is 17848 Old Highway 99 Southeast. And that would have been Harvey Breen and the Granger 99 gravel mine. And appreciate also that we were able to eliminate any kind of water rights or water, I guess I would call it jurisdiction by the county. So it has already been determined that there are no water rights at all by the county. No setbacks. Sure made it really nice when I reclamated it and working with the Department of Ecology to finish reclamating the property that was never done by DNR. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. And can you please, Jamie, could you again please gather his number and email in case the commissioner wants to get in touch with Mr. Bond?
Mr. Pettit, could you give me a copy of that? You had an RCW you were showing about 120 days. Yeah, if you could give it to the clerk and then we can all get it. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else in the boardroom? Okay, we will move on to Zoom.
I will call names that I see on the Zoom screen. First, Patty McGuire.
No comment, thank you.
Thank you. And next, Eric Martin. Go ahead. No? Okay. And Shaylin is staff. So
Okay.
those are the only 2 names on the screen that I did not recognize as staff.
Thank you. Okay, this will conclude public comment. We will move next to county manager's update.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I have no updates at this time.
Okay. Any questions for Robin?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay. So next we have consent items, 3A through 3L. The Assistant County Manager has gone over all the updates added from this morning. And so is there an item that commissioners would wish to remove from the consent agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move to approve consent items 3A through 3L.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, moving on to department items. 4A is Central Services sole source purchase from Stryker. And Bruce?
Good afternoon, Bruce Roba, Fleet Services Manager. Here to requesting approval for a sole source purchase for a power loader for the from Stryker for the coroner's office as part of a scheduled replacement of a vehicle.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No, but if anybody has any questions, they can certainly review our work sessions where we've talked about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Commissioner Mensah?
No questions.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the sole source purchase of an MTS power loader from Stryker for the amount of $31,429.91 and authorize the Assistant County Manager to execute the contract and any future amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you, Bruce. Next is emergency services, item 5A, purchase of replacement automated external defibrillators, AEDs for Thurston County EMS apparatus. Go ahead, Ben.
Good afternoon. Ben Miller-Todd, Director of Emergency Services. Medic One provides AEDs for all public response units licensed to provide EMS support throughout Thurston County. After 20-plus years of service to the community, these AEDs are in need of replacement. These AEDs have been assessed for durability as well as compatibility with the advanced life support cardiac monitors that Thurston County paramedics utilized. This capability ensures continuity of care and more positive outcomes in cardiac arrest resuscitations. These mission-critical devices will be purchased through a cooperative purchasing agreement, NASPO, in tandem with a financing option that will be paid in annual installments over the next 5 years. This procurement has been briefed and supported unanimously by the EMS Council, coordinated with the prosecuting attorney's office, internal auditor, and risk manager. Medic One anticipated this purchase for 2023. Budget authorization for these devices was granted in the 2023 budget, and the additional 4 annual installments are incorporated in both the 10-year projected capital outlays as well as the 2024 biennial budget development. This purchase supports Initiative 5 in the strategic plan to strengthen emergency medical services provided countywide by Medic One and area hospitals. With that, we are requesting that the board move to approve the Director of Emergency Services to execute a contract with Stryker in the amount of $395,297.23 to purchase 123 AEDs and any amendments that do not exceed 10%. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just one. We have 132 fire or emergency apparatuses or vehicles that
Yes.
these are going to replace what we have, right?
Yes, this is a replacement for the AEDs and 132 licensed EMS vehicles in Thurston County.
Thank you.
Yep.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah?
No questions.
Okay.
No questions from me. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve the Director of Emergency Services to execute a contract with, sorry, I'm reading the, oh, that's right. With Stryker?
No,
That's a typo.
Yeah,
It's the same company.
it's the same
No,
company.
it's a medical device company, so it actually is not a typo. Bruce and I
Okay,
will coordinate after this.
I don't remember catching that same outfit
name.
in two items before. I guess I just didn't look close enough. Okay, I move approval for the Director of Emergency Services to execute a contract with Stryker in the amount of $395,297.23 to purchase 132 automated external defibrillators and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am, but we've had a lot of discussion on this topic, so thank you.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Yeah, I was doing a double take too. I was like, wait, this is the correct
How did I miss that?
page. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to Public Health and Social Services, item 6A is a Healthcare Authority contract, K7016- Criminal Justice Treatment Account. Shaylin, go ahead.
Good afternoon. Shaylin Sowers, Thurston County Public Health and Social Services Treatment Sales Tax Program Manager. Thurston County Public Health and Social Services receives an annual allocation of Criminal Justice Treatment Account, CJTA funding from the State of Washington Healthcare Authority, the HCA. This funding must be spent on substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services for individuals involved in the criminal justice system. And today I'm asking for your approval of the Washington State Healthcare Authority contract K7016 for CJTA funds to provide substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services to individuals involved in the criminal justice system for a total maximum of $739,866 for the duration of July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025.
Thank you. Any questions on 6A?
I would ask maybe that you would just name the participants in the criminal justice treatment account that oversight, the group that oversees that, just for the public's benefit.
Name the participants on the local panel.
Yes.
Yeah. Give me a moment here. And so, and also as some background to the next item on the agenda. So pursuant to state law, a local CJTA panel must be comprised of representatives from Superior Court, Drug Court, Public Defense, the Prosecuting Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office, and a substance use treatment provider. And this panel is tasked to develop a plan for how to use CJTA funds. And so our alcohol and drug coordinator is represented by Jason B. Mortensen from the Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization. For the prosecuting attorney's office, Christy Peters, who's the PAO Chief of Staff. Lieutenant Stephanie Klein from the Sheriff's Office. Patrick O'Connor, Public Defense Director. Kristen Jensen, Superior Court Administrator. Sabrina Craig as a representative from Drug Courts, and she is the Superior Court Program Manager. And our substance use abuse treatment provider, Kevin Mercer from Northwest Resources, has been appointed for this role.
Thank you.
And for that, oh, sorry.
No, if that's it, thank you. I just want the public to know the breadth of our process here. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Mensah?
No, on 6A.
Okay. With that, is there a motion?
I move to approve Washington State Healthcare Authority contract K7016 for criminal justice treatment account funds to provide substance use disorder treatment and recovery support services to individuals involved in the criminal justice system for a total maximum amount of $739,866 for the duration of July 1, 2023 to June 30, 2025. And authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any future amendments that do not change the approved dollar amount or duration by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, and connected to this is item 6B, which is the updated Thurston County Criminal Justice Treatment Account Plan. Passing it right back to you.
Thanks. As mentioned previously, this local panel is tasked to develop a plan for how to spend CJTA funds. An update to this plan is due to the Healthcare Authority by October of 2023 as part of the requirement for the new contract discussed previously from the Healthcare Authority. And the local CJTA panel must seek the approval of its plan by the Board of County Commissioners prior to its submission to the state. And the plan was approved by the local panel on September 7th, 2023, and includes up to 9 uses of these funds, including substance use disorder assessments when requested by defendant's defense attorney, treatment and related services for individuals involved in drug court, parenting classes for CJTA eligible individuals, and services to CJTA eligible mental health and veterans court participants, medication assisted treatment for individuals with opioid use disorder at the Thurston County Jail as resources allow, housing case management and rental assistance for eligible individuals, domestic violence treatment, services to pretrial services defendants, including urinalysis, as well as naloxone for overdose reversal as resources allow. So today I'm asking for your approval of the Thurston County CJTA plan updated for September 2023.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? No questions from me, but I guess I'll just state kind of a comment. So with funding allocations, when are those decided by this local panel?
Typically, prior to the either when the contract shows up, so from the Healthcare Authority, it took a little bit longer to get the contract this time, but we meet prior to the contract having been decided. So we talk about what's funding needs there are for each of the subcontractors, and then we try to get an idea of where how much funding the Healthcare Authority is going to be providing. And then once we do get the official contract, then we start talking about the funding allocations, which is what happened on September 7th.
Okay, so I did have a question, I guess, but I guess my comment is, you know, if the board is going to be approving these certain allocations, I kind of would like to see it a little sooner rather than later, just so we can have a discussion, especially if it's, if it needs final approval from us. So that's just, I guess, reaffirming the suggestion that was put forward this morning by Vice Chair Menzer. Okay, I am ready for a motion.
Did you mention, Shaylin, that you were ticking through, but I didn't hear it, that this allocation plan now, as we've amended it, includes a extension of the restorative justice program?
Yes, that's correct. The 32,000 per year.
3,200.
3,200.
3,200, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, very good. You ready, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the updated criminal justice treatment account plan detailing uses of criminal justice treatment account funds from the Healthcare Authority as recommended by the local criminal justice treatment account panel.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I will call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7A from Public Works, this resolution adopting rule of rates and charges for Offutt Lake Management District number 24. And Tim?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tim Wilson, Water Resources Manager with Public Works. This item is for the board to consider a resolution approving the roll of rates and charges for Offutt Lake Management District number 24. This would be the last statutory step in the process of LMD formation and follows the board's action to form the Offutt Lake Management District by ordinance number 16291 on July 18th, 2023. Per statute, the board held a public hearing on August 22nd to hear objections to the roll of rates and charges. In staff's review of the comments received at that public hearing, none of the timely objections to the proposed final roll of rates and charges established a basis justifying amending that property's assessment. And I would add that the board held a briefing on September 20th to further discuss the comments that were received at that briefing. And with that background, I would answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Uh, no, no questions, maybe a clarification. This is a follow-up as required under, you seem to know that RCW,
3661.
3661. Okay, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? Okay, ready for a motion, sir.
I move to adopt a resolution confirming and approving the roll of rates and charges for Offit Lake Management District number 24.
Second?
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, next is our standing items. Item 8A, Commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards, we will start with you, sir.
Actually, I just have reports, but nothing really substantial on my committee assignments. The Fire Commissioners meeting, Timber County's caucus, the emergency management process that was addressed here, EMS Council. I also did attend the Deputy Sheriff's meeting on, and explained the public safety tax that's on the ballot. I guess that would be the best way to put that. Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Service Organization Governing Board with Commissioner Menzer. And I went to something a little different, which was the Weyerhaeuser Pacific Logging Conference legislative tour out near Rainier, Washington. It was quite a big operation, a lot of legislative folks there. And it was just worth seeing and connecting with those folks that were in attendance. One of the bigger issues dealing with constituent issues was land use and building permits issues, lake management district issues, the ag soils, and some flooding concerns up on the upper Deschutes River that we're still working with staff on. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Menzer?
Thank you. Assigned committees included the Behavioral Health ASO meeting that Commissioner Edwards and I attend, the Law and Justice Council, where we learned about, among other things, about the restorative justice program that we just extended funding to, and the Chehalis Basin Partnership. We have interns from University of Washington who are finishing up work that they've been doing, and we had a presentation from one of those interns that's headed back to school. She worked down in Centralia on issues of water conservation and public outreach. For other committee assignments that I have, I attended the Office of Public Defense. I'm on the advisory committee on behalf of WASAC, and the big interesting point of discussion for our purposes, which I know Commissioner Mejia is aware of, is the new public defense standards, which if adopted by the court could require 50 to 67% more staffing for our public defense department to meet caseload limitations that may be imposed. Secondly is the Sensing Guideline Commission. Again, I serve on behalf of the Washington State Association of Counties. We finished phase 1 of our re-ranking project in advance of getting a new sentencing grid approved by the legislature. Not me, but some state legislators are working on a new sentencing grid and asked the Guidelines Commission to go through all the offenses and make sure the seriousness levels from the old grid match up appropriately to the new grid. So that's been kind of an interesting exercise. Since Salmon Recovery Council meeting is Thursday, so I had my stakeholder prep meeting yesterday, which is always involved because it's all the salmon recovery stakeholders from all over South Sound. Community events, I attended a program last week regarding removal of the Snake River dams, the 4 upper Snake River dams. I attended the Emergency Management Services Preparedness Expo, which happened at Peter G. Schmidt Elementary on Saturday. And then I had constituent meetings related to agricultural zoning, lake management districts. And finally, I attended the new employee orientation with Interim County Manager Campbell last Friday.
Thank you. For me, I attended the Regional Housing Council Executive Committee. We are having a meeting tomorrow. And this is a monthly Zoom meeting where we will be discussing, in part, the long-term strategy for Quincy Street and other issues. So I hope to report back on that. I serve on the Interbranch Advisory Committee, which is Washington State Association of Counties assignment, which is with all of the justice partners from Supreme Court to Office of Public Defense to a variety. And we went over the request for the Supreme Court this year, as well as the Administrative Office of the Courts, Clallam, and I think it's Clark County. Apparently the courts have requested 2 judges, but they haven't talked to their commission about it. So there's some kind of tension there about that situation. On behalf of the counties, I really encouraged them that they really needed to talk to their commission about funding availability. And there was also conversations in relation to setting up a new court, of course, security. The court right now, Supreme Court has moved locations, and they want to go back to the Temple of Justice, but they need some infrastructure updates that they'll be requesting the legislator. We also spoke at length about the study about public defense. I asked Leah to look at that study, and she is touching base with our own public defense director to see, based on that study, what is it that we can prepare ourselves just in case it is, a certain form is adopted with it. That way we can adapt to it. And I know those meetings will be held in the future. I attended the WASAC Board of Directors meeting on behalf of Commissioner Menser, since he had triple booked. Yeah, and so to report on that, it was the conversation about King County was the prevalent topic at that meeting. Whether to include King County in the budget or not. As you all know, King County wants to withdraw themselves from the Washington State Association of Counties, or they would want some sort of weighted voting. And so the Bylaws Committee has still been working with King County and trying to see what method would fit best. However, our general meeting is in November. I did make a motion so we could keep the ongoing conversations that King County be allowed with kind of half their dues, which is around $200,000, $278,000, and to be allowed to be an active member for the year of 2024. That way, the conversations can still continue on whether they're going to be a part of WASAC or not, instead of trying to cram it all in for the general meeting in November, since those are usually tight and there's just so much. And so that's kind of just as a heads up for the November meeting for
Is there any credible proposal on the table that would potentially satisfy King County in terms of weighted voting, or they had other demands or requests about being able to send delegates and this, that, and the other? I mean, has a proposal been made that might be expanded upon? Or are we still where we started?
Well, no, so the Bylaws Committee has been meeting, and that's basically the committee that was kind of set aside in order to kind of, that is comprised of Eastern Washington counties, Western Washington counties, small counties, big counties, to kind of discuss what basically the whole ordeal. Delegates, I think what they landed on was for executives were allowed to send their delegates and they would be allowed to vote. Michael White was there and he spoke a lot on behalf of Executive Constantine from King County. But I think there are some things that they've agreed on, but there's a couple of things where there's still kind of that, there's not that understanding of it. So I'm not sure where it's gonna land, and I'm not sure what, what they're gonna come forward with in November. But I know that there's been a lot of meetings where they've been meeting to kind of try to come to middle ground. There was a King County, I think it's Joe McDermott was there at that meeting. And he was very adamant that, King County, they're not finding a benefit to Wausau, and if they continue not to find a benefit to Wausau, then they were going to be stepping away, so good luck in November, Commissioner Munzer. And then I also attended the Legislative Steering Committee for Wausau, and on that, the Washington State Association of Counties does not have a policy, a legislative agenda this year. So, which kind of worked in our favor a little bit because the 1% tax was not going to pass. But with
You guys decided to just not have an agenda?
not having an agenda, and
Differences of opinion?
there was just a lot, no consensus, no one could agree on any of the three items. It was actually Commissioner Wes McCart who came up with the proposal that Snohomish had come before and just said it's gonna be a short legislative session. We have our policy items from last year. We can just keep pushing those and give staff that direction. And we can instead focus on educating our legislators. So
I'm curious, because last year, it was the reverse. I subbed in for you, because I was gonna be in Ellensburg for the board of directors, so I did the legislative steering, and they had basically just a voting system, and, I mean, we didn't have to all agree, we just voted, and they put the top 5, and then we voted again, and the top 3 made it, so it's kind of just democracy went. They decided just not to do that.
well, what happened this year is they set aside, I guess, like an executive committee who kind of presented the items, and then out of all those items, 3 were picked, and there was just no consensus on any of the 3 items.
Tried to go around the full group.
And it was those meetings, they can get very contentious just because it's different legislative priorities all across. And then, of course, the King County conversation came back up with, King County saying like, well, none of these represent, what our county wants. And so there was that. So it does work in our favor. A lot of our policy items that we had last year were approved from last year's policy. So WASC is going to continue for that. So it does kind of benefit us in a way. I did attend the Strategies 360 meeting with staff, department heads, and as well as members from elected offices that came in and participated. Want to thank everyone who attended to that meeting. Encourage everyone to really think on ideas.
What is it?
The Strategies 360
right,
with federal lobbyists.
Yes.
I think people were shy, and they spoke a lot about the infrastructure bill, but then they were like, no, like you can think of anything. And so then I believe it was someone from the treasurer's office brought on the software upgrade, and they're like, well, does this even count? Is there any grants for this? And they were like, yes. And so people started asking questions about different projects that are coming up, and they're like, no, yes, that qualifies. And so me and Robin were like, well, how much money is there at the federal level that we don't know about, and it's kind of being left at the table. So I encourage everyone to keep thinking of just ideas that we can present to our federal lobbyists and see if there's funding out there that, we could qualify for and bring those resources to our county. Okay. Oh shoot, another big item. Intercity transit. So as a result of the 2020 US Census, basically the Olympia-Lacey urban area, they surpassed the 200,000 resident population. And as a condition of the federal funding eligibility that intercity transit has, they now have to basically take additional steps in order to comply with Title VI of the US Civil Rights Act of 1964. And so now they have to basically start working on all these different things. Well, they have to do this like, they're working with someone to kind of help them through this transition. They have to do this survey for all of the users on like basically accessibility and just all these different questions. They have to update like their draft policies. They have to have this recognized public process. And you know, they have to open it up for public comment and a public hearing. So it's just additional hoops that intercity transit has to like do now to be able to comply for this federal funding. And staff is kind of trying to work together on a plan that they're going to be putting forward. So that was the other big item.
So 200,000, like the transit benefit district that we have is over 200,000?
Yes.
It's 2/3 of the county, because it swoops out into UGAs and, yeah, it's kind of a funky boundary, and it has a little arm and it grabs Yelm so that they can be included.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. So that whole area now surpassed the 200,000, and so they kind of went over that limit. So, and then okay, that is all kind of big items. And then I will be out starting tomorrow, and I'll be back on Monday for budget session. So just wanted to give commissioners a heads up. And so next, the county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of September 26, 2023. Assistant County Manager, go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. These are items that are on at least two commissioners' calendars. I will not be reading off anything that is on your individual calendars. So the first item is that at 3:30 this afternoon, following this meeting, there will be a public hearing on the proposed 6-year transportation improvement program for calendar years 2024 through 2029. Then tomorrow at 9 a.m., we have the Thurston County's Freshwater Future Adaption Will Be a Must briefing here in the boardroom. And at 2 o'clock tomorrow, the Thurston County Traffic Concurrency Management Program briefing will also be in this room. There are no items on your shared agenda on Thursday, September 28th. On Friday, there is the LEAD Annual Celebration at 11 a.m. in Tumwater Historical Park that two of you might be attending. And then next week, on Monday, October 2nd, we begin budget presentations that will continue for the first 2 weeks. So you have budget presentations from, the time's not quite right, they're going to go from 9:15 till 4:30, or 4 o'clock, I think we're ending on Monday. Then also on the calendar, two or more of you may decide to go to the Kiwanis meeting at noon at Tugboat Annie's. And also at noon is the WASAC meeting on Zoom. And then 5 o'clock on Monday here in the atrium is the county manager's farewell celebration. And then next Tuesday, October 3rd, we resume again with agenda setting at 9:15 a.m.
Do we assume that on these all-day budget presentations that there'll be a lunch break and
There will be a lunch
Pack a
break.
lunch
We've
and-
scheduled from 11:30 to 1:30 for the lunch break.
Okay.
There actually is Kiwanis next week. Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay, so it is 3:18. We are adjourned. Thank you.